Hello, my fellow readers. This is Dark Symphony 777 with the final video of the top 10s list. I'm kind of getting used to these. Granted, these are probably going to be structured and formatted differently later in the year when I do 2020 edition. That's fine. But this is the regular stories category. The top 10 personal favorite stories. Not counting crossovers, not counting anything. Overall, I really like all these 10 stories. I really liked. No disrespect to any of these authors. This is just the ranking of how I did it. Again, the only criteria is I must like the story, and they're ranked based on how much I like them. So, let's get started. So, number 10 is Lupigarde by Koge Kigame Loves Koga, otherwise known as Kiara Zero Cheetah. Go subscribe to her. She's awesome. She's really cool. I'm kind of worried about what might have happened to her. I don't know what happened to her, but she's like... I'm just worried about her. I'm worried about my friends, okay? So this is a Phantom of the Opera story. This takes place during... Basically, a character just ends up in the Phantom of the Opera universe, and, lots of stuff happens. This one is probably the worst of the best. There's just... It's just a lot of stuff happens. There's not really much to talk about because this is one of those stories that you really need to read to kind of understand what's going on. There's a lot of there's a lot of ideas with depression and multiple personalities. Overall, it's not a long story, but it carries enough weight that it only just scratches the top 10. Like it barely made. I was stuck between this one and the Splatoon 1 Octocolors. I decided to give this one the nod because I think this one's just slightly better than Octocolors. Barely, but enough that, it only barely cracks the top 10. Number 9, The Mole Saboteur's Island by Chris Etchers. The best of the Mole story. Trader Abroad was mediocre, and Agent Elevation was good, but then again, Agent Elevation... I reviewed this year, so it's only really going to be up for 2020. So, regardless. But Saboteur's Island created the perfect mixture of what this type of story needed. Suspense, adventure, humor, a sense of world building, a general sense of commodity and competition. Everything flowed together immaculately. And I just really, really love Saboteur's Island, especially with McBallyhoo, the whole idea with him traveling through all the various areas of Isle Delfino, competing in all these challenges, all the characters like Vivian and Wario, and Love V and Goobell, and everyone, even the first eliminated character Boo, had his purpose and was really used to the best of his ability. In the short amount of time we saw him, everything was done immaculately, and so for that, it gets the number 9 rank. Number 8, The Kingdom Beyond Midnight by Shadis. It is a Mario story. And we're back with more Vivian. So anyway, this story takes place during the Star Carnival with Mario and Vivian and Luigi and everyone kind of hanging out at the castle. When this meteor comes in, crashes into the castle and sends them to an alternate dimension where the Shroob Empire attacked again and killed a lot of the people. And Princess Peach kind of became corrupt and basically just turned it into Empire and she's desperately trying to cling to her decaying life. There is a romance between Mario and Vivian. I thought it was really well done. And a lot of the parts in the area were really well done. I also have to applaud the author because this is the first story to actually have Lady Bao used in any large usage. She's never really been used. I really, really love the fact that there was a side plot with Luigi and Bao just getting a friendship. It's like, haha. It's like, and Luigi goes, haha. And Bao goes, blah. And then Luigi freaks out and runs away because he's Luigi. Overall, Kingdom Beyond Midnight, it has a lot of true suspense. It has a lot of build up to the twist in the middle, near the end, kind of the middle-esque end of the story. It has a lot of great set pieces and character moments. It was a very, very great story. But everything past this just goes from great to amazing, so take that as you will. So it cracks number 8 rank. Number 7 is Hercules and the Modern Girl by Star Swimming. This is a Hercules story, which actually has the main character, Natalie, go into the Hercules world, not in the movie, but during the TV show, and then she befriends Hades, and she's forced to work with him because Hades will let her go and let her go back to the world. And it's like, hey, kill Wonder Boy, you can go home. The story was really well done, and honestly, I really, really love the story. It doesn't crack the top 5, mainly because Season 2 was really much entirely filler. Like I said in that chapter in my review of Season 2 of that story, the only redeeming quality was the argument between Natalie and Cassandra. I thought that was very, very well done, especially since, again, Season 2 was just very much a filler. This story was very much carried onto being ranked number 7 because of Season 1 and Season 3 being so very good. Again, but also the author is rewriting the entire story. I dread what will happen if she gets to... If Starstorm gets to Season 3, like, is she going to change Season 3? Because Season 3 didn't need any changes. Like, nothing at all needed to change. And, that's just really going to be nerve-wracking when I have to reread that entire story again, because more than likely I'm going to have to re-review Hercules the Modern Girl. Wow, that's gonna be hard. But we're moving on. Number 6 is Journey Through Light and Darkness by Plasmite. It is a Yu-Gi-Oh story. I love Yu-Gi-Oh. It's one of my favorite hobbies next to reading. And coming from someone who loves Yu-Gi-Oh! and has seen the anime, I saw the original, I see Gene X, I saw 5Ds, I saw a little bit of Zexal. I didn't see anything past Zexal. I saw like 1 or 2 episodes of Zexal, so I can't really say what I think of Zexal. But a lot of people have been asking Konami for years, hey, give us something with the monsters, and this story came in and said, I got you, fam. And gave us a 4-part epic starring the Dark Magician Girl saving the world of dual monsters and going on this big adventure, getting an army with like Buster Blader and the Amazonas Paladin and the Flame Swordsman and the Paladin of White Dragon. It's really, really cool. I really, really loved it. It had a nice sense of adventure and wonder and humor. Especially my favorite part, like I said in my review of it, my favorite part. No, not the part with Lance, getting his moment to shine. But there was like a very hilarious moment, which was basically just one gigantic nod to Leroy Jenkins, just with dual monsters. I thought that was very hilarious, especially since instead of Leroy Jenkins, they say, "All right, let's do this, legendary fisherman." And I thought, it's like. The author went there. The author went Leroy Jenkins. I actually clapped at that. I was like, that was just very funny. It's just, this story had very tough competition. I want to put this in number 5, but it just got beat out by all the others, the top 5 stories, which were just simply better than it. In every single sense of the word. Nothing to be ashamed of if it's ranked 6 and only really lost because the other 5 stories were just better. So coming in at number 5 is Alice Reflections of Madness by Wile E. Coyote. It is a American McGee's Alice fanfiction. It is a retelling of Alice Madness Returns. I really loved all the ideas presented in this, with all the Wonderland characters being used as facets of Alice's psyche, with like Wonderland Alice being the ego, the Red Queen being the I think the Red Queen being the id, and the Cheshire Cat being like the conscious, the Mad Hatter being self-preservation, all that sort of thing. It really gave us a new spin on the whole story of Madness Returns, with Alice being more heroic, her wanting to stop the villain of the story, Angus Bumpy, who honestly, I think Dr. Bumpy is probably one of the greatest video game villains ever, and it's a shame that more people don't know about him, because he is really, really, evil. Like, if I did a top 10 list of the most evil villains in any medium, Dr. Bumby would probably be the only video game representative on that list. Everyone else would be like horror movies or Jigsaw and stuff like that. You know, that sort of thing. Hannibal Lecter would more than likely be number one because he's Hannibal Lecter. Of course, he's got to be number one. But Bumby would probably be number 2 or number 3. That's how evil that guy is. But the whole sense of giving new life and just exploring Wonderland and the ideas behind Alice's psyche in more detail and in a different sort of weird left shape where, you know, Alice, instead of being like cruel and merciless, is more just wanting to solve this mystery and is willing to get help from others because she realizes that if she goes too far, then she'd probably be just as low as Bumby and stuff like that. It was a very amazingly well done. It would have made number 4 if not for the first couple chapters. First couple chapters were just very, very bland in comparison to everything else. Everything past Barrel Bottom was just amazing, but everything to Barrel Bottom was just very, very dull. It was kind of messed up at the beginning, but it righted its course immediately and just gave us an amazing series of amazing stories afterwards. So number 4 is Mario, Luigi, and Bowser by Wakazoo. It is another Mario story. Wow, that's saying something. This is actually a novelization of Mario and Luigi's Bowser's Inside Story, which I consider one of the greatest Mario games of all time. It has a lot of humor and it has a lot of charm. It's still very difficult. Like, Mario RPGs tend to be at least a little bit difficult near the end. Still not as hard as Paper Mario, but who's saying? So anyway, this is a novelization of Bowser's Inside Story, but the main character is not Bowser or Mario and Luigi. It's actually Starlope, the little companion that joins them on that little adventure, the little ball with the star for her head, and she's basically trying to help Bowser out. And it really conveys the sense of an overarching theme of family and what truly is good and evil, because when Starlope enters Bowser and kind of has to help him out, he thought Bowser should die, and I'm only keeping Bowser alive so Mario and Luigi can get out and everything. But then over the course of the story, she realizes how truly different Bowser is. He still cares about his people. He still wants to help people, but he's just doing it in his own way. And then she also realizes the stars are not exactly as nice people as she thought they would be. They are, and a lot of stories carried by Starlope herself, just realizing this phenomenon and just realizing that, you know, not everything is completely black and white. People can do good things for bad reasons. People can do bad things for good reasons. And it shapes her experience over the course of the story, through her emotions, through talking to Bowser and everything. It just really makes everything flow well. I thought it was a really amazing story. I have to give it to Wakazoo. Wakazoo, rest in peace. And overall, it gets the number 4 spot. Number 3. This goes from amazing to the top tier. Granted, you can also say that about Mario and Luigi and Bowser and Alice and kind of Alice and Reflections of Madness, but mostly just the top 4. You can honestly make an argument for any of these 3 to be number 1, but this is just the order I put it in, so don't take it the wrong way. Number 3, Melancholia by Lady Armister. This is a Castlevania fanfiction centered around the lesser-known character of Joachim Armister. I really love fanfictions that explore characters that don't really get enough attention, because, hey, like in Castlevania, the majority of the fanfictions are centered around Alucard. I don't want to read any more Alucard stories. I read enough. I don't want to read anymore. Just my thought. But overall, I really loved what the story did with Joachim, having him be this kind of slightly overconfident, but at the same time pessimistic royal who gets captured, who gets to be played a game by Walter Bernhardt. And, with everything going on. This is a story that I really don't want to talk about because the story is so good that it really needs to be seen, read to believed, with Walter's character, and how he's kind of, he even sexually toys with Jokai, leading to some male-on-male sex scenes with, something, I don't care. But it explores the tragedy of Jokai, and how he's becomes completely broken, and he tries to help everyone out with with Sarah Trentul and everything. It's really, really well done. It's a really, really great drama and tragedy, and it's befitting a number 2. Number 3. Number 2, Total Alternate Island by Jason Kruger Myers. This is an amazing story. Just a retelling of the first season of Total Drama Island. Just add some more campers, add original characters as counselors to kind of aid with some of the characters, and you got a completely different story. It keeps the same beats, it keeps the same tone as Total Drama Island. It's just told in a different way. I really love the characters. A lot of the characters, MVP of that character actually has to go to Heather, who probably was the best developed character of the entire story, next to Laura and Sarah and Ezekiel. Ezekiel got a lot of time to shine because he wasn't first eliminated, and the whole mini arc with Courtney, just like the Mole Saboteur Island, every single character is used to the best of their ability, except for Justin. But Justin gets the entire story to himself, so that kind of averages out. Every single story is just completely used to everything. I loved every single character, even the characters I didn't like in Total Drama Island, like Ezekiel and Eva and Courtney. I really didn't like Courtney. And probably my least favorite character. I really didn't like Owen. I liked Owen in this story more than in Total Drama. That is saying something with how well the author made Owen at least somewhat likable. Just saying. The original characters, they feel natural. They feel like a breath of fresh air. The story, the author actually keeps all of the challenges, like dodgeball and the sleepathon and everything, but it's told differently with since different characters get eliminated at different times. But a lot of stuff is really, really different. Again, they add in VR challenges in that story. In my review, I said my favorite part was the whole Griff Ball challenge because it was basically referencing Red vs. Blue. I love Red vs. Blue, especially when Sarge and Caboose show up, describe Griff Ball, and then Sarge just shoots Chris McClane in the stomach with a shotgun. I thought that was hilarious. It kept a lot of the charm Total Drama had, but it expanded on it in a way that still made it feel very natural. We're still watching the first season of Total Drama, and it felt really, really good. It made it to the second, but there was really only one room for the best fanfiction of all time. And number 1, probably out of the 3 videos, this is probably the most obvious number 1. Better Off Alone by Great Chicken Piazza, or Pink Water Lily. The author changed her name. I can't remember off the top of my head. By the author. Mario, there's a reason why the top tier is called the Better Off Alone tier. That's how good this story is, that I created an entire tier of stories that are this level. That's why I said top level, not the actual name. Because, hey, I'd be spoiling it. Better Off Alone tells the story of Vivian. Oh, there's that character again. Wow. And her journey through her mental state and everything during the events and after the events of Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Vivian was the undisputed character of this story. This story basically proved to me that fanfiction can be just as good as novels It's the reason why I fell. This story is the reason why I fell in love with fanfiction. This is a story why I wanted to do this channel, because I wanted to talk about this story in particular. I really loved Better Off Alone. I think it is one of the best fanfictions right now. Barely any stories have even captured the magic that Better Off Alone did with everything, with all the emotional range, with all the storytelling, with the maximizing use of words and pacing and world building. Currently, the only story that comes close is Nightfall, which is a prequel to Melancholia, which is saying something. I'm calling you out, Lady Armister. Finish that story. But Better Off Alone still is the number one best fan fiction. The whole story of everything going through Vivian's filter and her mental state of her wanting to be lonely and development of her inferiority complex and everything. It plays an outstanding role, and I really loved it. Her friendship and relationship with Coops, and then her friendships with all the other partners in the game, the mystery Miss Mouse, the entire second arc with her kind of breaking down and wanting help and everything. Beldam being just such a scumbag of a villain. The whole flashback chapters, which is basically a prequel to the story, telling the story of the four heroes, with Vivian's sister Lillian falling in love with the stalwart Koopa. Everything meshed together so beautifully. The only problem was in the beginning couple chapters where there was like some grammar errors. Every single character was used to perfection. Every single plot point was done immaculate. There is nothing wrong with the story outside of the grammar. That tells you how much I love this story, because it's just a perfect story. It encapsulates everything that a good story should be. You can go a couple years, read it again, and you still have this sense of wonder and this amazement of the characters and the world that the author created. And that's what I honestly got when I read this story. And what I think the only story to actually compare it to is a story that I'm actually working on with Nightfall. Nightfall is capturing that same magic that this story had. And no other story hasn't really done it since, except for maybe Deluge, which is another Castlevania story, and Total Alternate Island. It's these four stories this story, Deluge, Nightfall, and Total Alternate Island are the best stories that I've read, are so far the top four fan fictions I have ever read of all time. That shows how much Deluge is, because that story's not done yet. Nightfall is, and that story's not done yet, and how good Total Alternate Island was, because I put it on the same level as Better Off Alone. Better Off Alone just had more memorable characters, especially with Vivian. Yeah, I love Total Alternate Island, but it still had some moments where it's still kind of bland, but still very entertaining. But this one was just a pure emotional roller coaster of just Vivian's character developing over the course of the story, going from this very broken woman to someone who wants to be courageous, and at the end her selfless sacrifice to defeat Beldam. It really hammered down all the elements the story had and was very, very good at. And that's why Better Off Alone is my favorite. Not only the number one best fanfiction I read from 2017 to 2019, but still to this day, the best fanfiction I have ever read. Lady Armister, you have a uphill climb, because Nightfall is coming close. If the story plays out how I think it's gonna play out, Deluge may actually beat Better Off Alone. Not Deluge. Nightfall may beat Better Off Alone. Might. Why am I saying meat? Wow, that's stupid of me. Might beat it. It's gonna be very close between the two. But I have all the trust in Lady Armister that she may do the impossible and unseat Better Off Alone as the greatest as my personal favorite fan fiction. And that is saying something, because how much I love Better Off Alone. I'm actually talking about it. I may actually go read it again, a fifth time. I love the story. I love Vivian. I love all the characters. Everything was just used so immaculate. And I know I'm talking in circles, but that just shows how much I love the story. So, that is my top 10 favorite fanfictions. The next time you'll see a top 10 will be at the end of the year, sometime around December. We'll talk about all the fanfictions I reviewed and read this year. So this has been Dark Symphony 777. I thank you for watching these 3 videos, and I'll see you next time.